Okay, we're live, buddy.
Hey, you're joining the very first episode of Playing the Artist. I'm Antoine Marchildon. If you want to check out my work, you can go on Instagram, Forbidden Prints. That's printers like a print, not a prince like the artist formerly known as Prince. As joined, as always, I hope, is Alex. Alex?
Yeah, I'm Alex Kolakowski. I'm also an artist, and yeah, man, I don't know. You can find me on, I guess, Facebook. My Facebook group is kind of what I'm pushing right now. So if you go to Facebook/, Tiger Skull RPG, you'll find my art there. It's all kind of tabletop inspired, tabletop RPG inspired, a lot of fantasy stuff. And yeah, so we're going to get together once a week and talk about this sort of thing, what it takes to be an artist in this space. And I've really been
just an artist in general.
What's that?
Just an artist in general, or just someone that's just like trying to pursue.
Yeah, well, you and I, like, we kind of, we've done game art, and we're getting into like tabletop art now. Yeah, I feel like
it's still game art in its own right. You know what I mean? It's just cut from a different cloth. Sorry, cut from the same cloth, but just a different shape.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of similarities, right? Which is pretty awesome, I think. I think it's like takes a lot of the fun stuff from game art and strips out a lot of the tedious.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I was say, hey, speaking, yeah. My Facebook account got disabled again.
Dude, so you said you added me again, but I haven't seen.
Yeah, I know, because I got disabled again.
You mean another time?
A third time I got disabled again. So I'm gonna have, and this is the kicker. They'll ask for your mobile, right? They'll ask for your mobile, like, oh, we're gonna ask for your mobile to make sure, you're not a robot or whatever. They won't even accept my mobile anymore, my phone number. So
flag, buddy.
I'm gonna have to write a letter and be like, please, there's been a misunderstanding. It's been so frustrating. I just want a Facebook page for my art. That's all I want. They won't give it to me.
We had one a long time ago, I remember.
Oh yeah, and I got off of it because I was just staring at it so much. It was like a fridge, when you just go to the fridge and you open it up and you look at it, you're like, there's nothing in there. But
you're hungry for something, and you feel like if I open the fridge, I'm gonna find what I'm hungry for.
Yeah.
Then you realize your fridge is just like, maybe one beer and like a milk thing that's pretty much empty and
banana
not in there really.
Yeah.
But you're gonna look anyways, just in case.
Yeah, that's why I deleted Facebook so long ago, and I felt I was impeding on my self, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man, it does. But I feel like Instagram is just as
oh yeah, man,
tempting in that way.
I have on my whiteboard, I have written down, stop looking at stop looking at Instagram. Like, I still have it, but I wrote it down to quit staring at it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's weird because, like, I remember when I was working at EA with you, my phone would be at my side and I'd be working, and then, I'd just go check my Facebook, not check my Facebook, check my Instagram. And it's just like, you do that like, I don't know, 10 times a day for like 5 minutes, like those numbers start racking up real quick.
Yeah.
And I started to think about, like, how much work does everybody really get, like, through the day at their office or what they're wanting to do, right? Like, it's not 8 hours. It's definitely not 8 hours.
Now you're working from home, and it's
I can see it.
No one over your shoulder that's ever gonna.
I know.
You don't have to ever like alt tab your screen or
put things down, hide things, or like
your phone down on your desk because somebody walks by.
Yeah, I've done that.
Your monitor with like this figure behind you, and you're like, oh, no, I'm working here.
Yeah, I just quick look of that thing. I'm done now. I come back to work.
Yeah. So like, what stops you from, or do you go on Instagram more now?
More now? No, I actually find myself having a little bit more discipline. But having said that, I'll give a little bit of context. So this is my first week professionally unemployed, as Pete Morterbacher once said. Professionally unemployed because I'm pursuing my career. No, I'm pursuing a business venture, I guess you could say, as an artist. Not a freelancer, actually, running my own business and selling my own goods. But anyways, the first 3 days of this week were really good. I was really productive. Did a lot of work, still doing work. And then was it Wednesday? It was Thursday. Yeah, Wednesday, I decided I was going to buy chips. I ate chips, and and it's like I didn't need those. And the thing is, yeah, I'll eat chips while I do my work. You never do that. You eat chips, and then you're like, well, I don't want to touch my keyboard because my fingers are gross. and then
crazy, right?
Yeah, and then well, I'll watch some videos, and then before you know it, you watched 10 videos of how to make a hut in the wilderness. And you're like, well, why did I watch all those? There's no point.
It's fair to take a break, right? Like you
still no.
Imagine.
I totally understand that too, because I went for walks. Unfortunately, yesterday I went for a walk, but I end up with 12 ice cream sandwiches. So, that wasn't a very successful walk.
Damn.
What was I gonna say? There's actually recording of there's recordings of famous American artists, not artists, what are they called again? Not illustrators. What's the word I'm looking for? Authors. I forget their names, the really famous ones or whatever. And even European ones, they would always walk, they did so many kilometers every day, just walking. And turns out that's a really good thing to do when you're just kind of working, because it kind of, I don't know, it's kind of when you're on the internet and you research a bunch, not research, but your history fills up and then you empty it, right? Because that history is it gets cached, right? And that's data, not data, but it takes up space. And then before you know it, your internet browser is working real slow. You're like, what's happening? And you're like, oh, I just got to empty that, and then this will work better, right?
So you're saying going for a walk is clearing your browser history?
A little bit, yeah, because it's the old saying, don't look at the tree, look at the forest. Is that how it goes?
I mean, there's
a couple versions of that.
You could swing it that way, I suppose. Yeah.
Or is it don't look at the forest, look at the tree?
Well, usually you're criticizing somebody or something in there. You're saying, oh, you're not seeing the forest through the trees or something like that.
Yeah, but
somebody is kind of focused in on the details. You need to take a step back and see.
Look at the whole. Yeah, exactly. And I think that plays a part in a physical way more than a mental way.
Yeah, dude. No, you just gotta. It's good. You gotta take your head out of that headspace. You can't just think your way out of that headspace. Sometimes you need to change your scenario, setting. I find I do I just go for jogs. I find very therapeutic, and it forces you to just your mind and body become occupied, and what little brain space you have left kind of wanders, and you get a lot of productive thinking done that I think wouldn't get when you're kind of stewing at your desk and when you need to feel productive.
Yeah,
it takes that urgency to be productive away, and kind of lets you think about things in more of a almost a low pressure kind of way. So I hear where you're coming from. I think it's good to do every day. I think
oh yeah,
whether you want to schedule it in or not, that's that's whatever, but oh, that's cool, man. You got the freedom to do it. Have you been working in the mornings? Or have you been working in the evenings?
Well, I've been working I work out through the whole day, but not the evenings. The evenings are for me. working every morning pretty much, and then we were trying to get the Facebook. Why am I always saying Facebook? It's on my mind. I'm so pissed off of that.
Yeah, you're bothered by it.
It's just like this thing has been such a hassle.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'll figure it out. What was I thinking about? What was I talking about?
I was asking you what time of day you've been getting, like, when are you being?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, no, the mornings are definitely the best. But these couple of mornings were kind of scrambled because we were trying to. Well, you were trying to figure out how to get these live streams going. And this,
oh man, I'm embarrassed at how difficult I'm
finding.
Dude,
I'm embarrassed how upset I was yesterday.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was just being really bitchy, and I was just like, and I felt so like, I don't know, I just felt like it was like a weird bath of goo over me. Like,
I'm kind of glad. I think we're in a better spot today to do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, headspace and everything.
I suppose so. Yeah.
It was just kind of like, I don't know about fate and all that stuff, but it was just hilarious. Like, we finally figured it out and got it going, and then my internet just randomly blurps out and ruins the whole thing anyways. Because I'm not doing anything differently than I was doing yesterday, aside from the fact that I've hardwired in my laptop and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the setup is the same. So,
yeah, for sure.
Anyway, yeah, so I'm feeling good about that. I wanted to get into what we started to talk about last
time. Yeah.
It was like you've got this project ongoing, and you've got kind of a
importance of notes. Importance of notes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, let's see. So this is like an asset list of what you're creating, or is it more than that, or less than that?
It's I made an asset list, and then I also put down like a rough estimate like of the size I want of that asset, and then also the time of that asset, and then also reference gathering and whatnot.
Are you comfortable going into like what this project is going to be at the end, or are you still not 100% sure yet, or do you want to keep your cards close? Right now?
Well, right now the theming is like sci-fi. Like it's for tabletop, RPGing or wargaming, and it's for printable scenery. Sorry, that's a company. It's for 3D printing for home printers or people that are like Etsy sellers or something like that. And it's all themed. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say it's like a lot of environment art for tabletop gaming. I don't know if there's like a shorter term for that, but
3D printable terrain, I guess.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? What was I talking about? Oh yeah. Anyways, no. The theming is like sci-fi, industrial, kind of mining, kind of thing. I'm thinking like Dune 2000. You remember that old RTS video game, Dune 2000?
Dune.
Dune, the book, right?
The old. I've never read the book. I've seen some of the movie.
Yeah.
From the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Anyways, they made an RTS game called Dune 2000, and the whole premise is like you gotta harvest spices, and there's competing factions harvesting spices, and so you like build like generators and silos and all that stuff. And so I'm making kind of stuff like that. So it's kind of like, yeah, along that vein, and also a little bit of I guess you could say Starship Troopers.
Nice.
Going to a different colony, because I am building like some I think I might do some vegetation, like some alien vegetation stuff. I'm not sure yet, but I do have written down like stone and rock kind of like mountain-esque kind of cover. But anyways, I started writing down all the time, and I came up with 49 assets, but that already got bigger. I already made like 3 other extra assets that are not on the list. But the time came up to 178 hours in total, roughly. And so I said to myself, well, I'm going to round that up to 190, right? So give myself 190 hours to get at least 49 assets done. And I was like, Wow, that's a lot of hours.
So that's, well, if somebody's working
Yeah, well, no, I did the math.
30 hours a week.
I did the math. If I only only work 6 hours every day,
yeah,
that would only be 5 weeks of work. That would only take 5 weeks, so a month and change. You know what I mean? And when you see a number, and also that's even more time. Like if I did 6 hours every day for 5 weeks, that's 210 hours. So that's over.
That's weekends and everything.
That's weekends and everything. Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't have holidays right now because I'm.
Now your whole life is a holiday.
Shut up. That's not true. What was I going to say? So yeah. So when you start doing the math, it starts getting scary. You start looking at like all that. Well, sorry. If you start taking notes and you start writing down all the assets or all like the work you need to do, and it starts adding up, you're like, oh man, this is a lot of work. But then actually, if you start getting deeper in the math, like hourly wise, and then like taking the hours and then dividing the hours up weekly or daily or whatever, you start to realize like, oh, okay, this is actually feasible. And then you feel that there's a little bit of, I guess, walls around you where you can be like, oh, okay, I understand where I can travel through this maze, right? I remember beforehand, I made some assets and I was like really pumped. I was like, oh man, Alex, I'm gonna make a Kickstarter. I'm starting now. And I made these assets and I didn't really have any reference. I was just kind of like winging it. I was just like kind of modeling some stuff. I had a little bit of reference, but not that much. And then I made it. And when I was kind of almost done, I was like, where am I going with this? And there was no like real clear path. There was no real like destination, right? It was just kind of like walking into the woods, or like just like swimming out to sea. You know what I mean? Or like just rowing a boat into the ocean. It was, Yeah. So
I think
anybody out there
to do that, but
yeah,
I'm glad you've got a holistic project in mind now. That
and the thing is like
an end to.
You don't have to. It doesn't have to be concrete. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I made some assets. That that I didn't even write down. They just kind of happened, right? I was like, oh, I could do this, right? And I did it, and it was easy. So it's not the fact that it's a concrete plan and you have to use it or everything's going to fail. Because at the same time, this, for me anyways, this is a creative endeavor that I've never really done. And I need a balance of balance of a plan where I have to stay on track, but I also need some room where I can fail and try to like move it around a bit, because it's like I said, like I don't want these walls so tight where I get to the point where I'm going to stress out and creatively kill myself or make myself depressed or whatnot.
Yeah, man, you're in control. Why not, play to your strengths and make it easier if you can. There's no reason. I got a question. Like, you've got like 48 or 49 assets in this thing.
Yeah, 49.
Did you come to? How did you come to that number? Was that like you feel like you need, like that was the minimum for it to be like successful commercially? Is that how many ideas you happen to have, or
that's just the ideas that came up? I was just like, I just started writing all the different things you would see in industrial mining, sci-fi, plantation kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I just like wrote down some stuff that, like, what would you see there? What would you use? And then also taking in consideration if someone does, like, if this Kickstarter does happen and does get funded. Sorry, words are important. It's going to get funded. What would the player or what would the backer would want? Like, what would they want for their table, right? So there's that in consideration, and but like I said, like the list already grew by accident, right? So yeah,
that's good. I mean, and you can even you could always like swap one thing out with the new thing that you made. If you feel the crunch coming on, like, did you also like how much time are you comfortable spending on this project?
well, this is the thing though, like I'm going to have to like I said, like I did the math, right? And so it's 5 weeks. So I guess six weeks.
Well, you also there's
Sorry,
like you got to reserve a bit of time for like promotional.
No. I totally understand. I totally understand. So
that running a Kickstarter is, and
yeah. So that's like, so the thing is like that's going to be at least a bit in a month. So that, I would say I would just double the time there. So like 14 weeks. So for 3 months.
Oh, cool.
Because like, so the time to build all the assets and get them ready, like to build all the assets and get them ready, that would be 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then doing the promotion and doing the Kickstarter and all that stuff and all that jazz, like that's another 6 weeks right there. So yeah. So that's the way I see it. Anyways.
Well, yeah, if your project is, if you've got it mapped out to a month and a half, and then you have, and then you spend, a month, or some Kickstarters are even 60 days.
Yeah.
Like the entire scope of your project again, which will require some like hand holding and a lot of your time to kind of babysit that and get
it. Yeah. But also, that will be
there's a lot of time there you could probably squeeze some production in, and you're probably going to be itching to like model a few things during that time.
Oh, most definitely. I'll definitely start writing down like what's the next step, right? Like the plan is once this Kickstarter goes off and it gets funded or whatever, I'm going to be archiving anything that was made from that, like all the stuff I made. I'll just archive it, and I'm going to put it on a website for individual purchase of STL files for 3D printing. And like that's going to be a learning curve because I need to learn about how to properly design and make a website and hook it up.
That's awesome, dude, because like, when this is done, plus the work you've done up to this point, where you've got like, I don't know, at least a dozen or so models, you're going to be able to offer like 50 plus models in like this library that you have.
Yeah.
It's kind of that's like already a pretty juicy library. I think a lot of people would like to add to their own pool of items that, they like to have. It seems like, DMs and kill team players, right? They're not downloading and printing everything that they purchase or
no, yeah.
They just like to have it on hand so that at any like, oh, I need this for this what I'm doing this week, and I'm just gonna download this. And like, so having access to a library like yours, like even especially because it's like kind of has a theme, because because you're doing this, the setting, you've got the setting in mind, but you've also like done some other work that kind of matches that setting already. So you're gonna have a very tight like kind of section of I guess like that setting, that theme, like people will be able to go to one place if that's what they want. If those are
I guess so. Yeah,
if they want.
It's what's it called again? The book I've been reading by that bald-headed guy. Not me. I'm the bald-headed guy. Seth Goat. His name is Seth Goat.
Seth Godin, I believe.
Godin, yeah. He talks about marketing, but most importantly, he talks about story, and that all marketing is storytelling essentially. And so I was just like, okay. And then I started thinking about like all these different Kickstarters and all these different products and Games Workshop. Like, what do they have? Like, well, it's all story. You know what I mean? It's not just this is a spaceman in armor. It's like no. This is a certain faction, and they have a story, and they have certain characters, and they have a history, and they have depth, and they have morals and lore. You know what I mean? It's like a whole thing. It's not just you're buying a piece of plastic. You're buying an Ultra Space Marine. You're buying
yeah, man. I don't think people necessarily need to consume it. Like, I think just knowing that it's there, like, just adds a ton of like perceived depth to the art. Like, when you like get a I don't know, anything you buy, and there's like, it's just like, whether it's written on the back, or like you've got like this sort of like flavored text booklet manual. Like, how often do you actually read all that stuff? But it just does. It feels like, you can just. It just like seems like more work is put into it.
Yeah.
And opposed to
like
just
magic cards.
Random thing. What's that?
Like magic cards.
Magic.
Like sometimes magic cards, they'll have just a little story, or like a little poem almost.
Yeah, has nothing to do with the game.
It's just flavor, right?
Yeah.
And that's a good way to think of it when you're making your art. What kind of spices are you using? What's the flavoring, right?
Yeah, it is that. Yeah. Right.
So, like, are you trying to make something dark like chocolate or something?
That's right. Yeah, and
something sweet.
You're busy, and you're like throwing too many spices at the thing, because you're like, oh, it's a dwarf, but it's from space, and he's a cat. And, I don't know.
He's a cat demon. He's from Valhalla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
but guess what? You could do that too. And who knows? Maybe people will like that flavor, right?
Yeah. Some people like a full flavor. Some people like McDonald's. They just want like French fries and a burger.
Yeah, that's true. Some people just like
even
McDonald's.
my green goblin. Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah. Well, what's with you, Matt? What have you been up to?
The last thing I've been doing, I just sort of I've got a big project I'm kind of working on as well. The whole map. My long-winded project that I've got going on, which really in scope isn't too big. It's just I kind of like don't work on it, I guess, in a full-time way, or even a part-time way.
Dude, it's hard, man.
So the project is just like I've got my Tiger Skull Island map, which isn't it's just a big world fantasy map, and it's like it's not too crucial to the project. It's more or less just there as sort of like it's just there to show the models I'm making, which are these like map markers, because this is something I thought of just from playing the game, playing D&D, that is, where a lot of the time your DM, he's kind of like set up this elaborate story, and you've got this quest to go on, you've got these locations to hit, and you're like, well, where am I going? Like, where is this? He's like, well, you got to go north this way, and then you got to turn right there at the thing, and it's always described, and no one ever has. Everyone's using just kind of like random pieces to mark where you're going, but everybody has markers and is like showing you where to go, or where you're going, like where you've got to stop, and other places you might want to be. So I'm just trying to flesh that out, like that section of the game that's like underrepresented, because like everybody is building the underground passageways. Like when you actually finally get to the dungeon and you're doing the thing where you're going through the tunnels and room to room and you're looting and killing things, like that's that is like the meat and potatoes of the game, I think, for a lot of people, where you're it's almost like a video game where you're like dungeon crawling. The dungeon crawling part, like that part is so well serviced right now. But there's also like this whole like backstory and like plot development stage that is like, I think, totally ignored right now by artists. Like it's like people are either focusing on your character or your dungeon crawl.
Yeah, dungeon tiles. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few people who have been like getting into like, like there's always like a part in the campaign where you're in the town and you're chit chatting with people trying to collect like clues and just like I don't know, you're just trying to figure out what the next stage in your kind of story is. So there's a lot of like I guess tavern pieces, as you always find yourself in a tavern for some reason. But there's a lot of like metagaming that happens, as you look at the map and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm developing that, but yeah, one thing, totally aside from that, the last thing I made was to answer your question there was the campfire piece.
Yeah, I saw that.
Sure, I showed. I don't know if I showed you or if you just saw it.
I saw it on the grams, and I was super jealous because I was like, damn it, I wanted to make something like that. That's really cool.
Oh yeah,
You did a really good job. I really like it because I could totally see that like being like a nice little piece in a campaign where it's like just like, oh, now it's the camp, and like you just, I don't know, just set the mood with this little camp thing,
Yeah. This was the project. Like last week, I said I got an idea of something I want to do, and I was about to tell you about it, but I said no, I'm just gonna do
Just
it.
do it. That's an important thing you just said there, because I recently read in Do the Work by Stephen Pressfield,
Damn.
and there's a certain he talks.
I'm
What
just
is he?
impressed by your reading amount. Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you. I was just thinking, like, man, you read way more than I do.
But this is the thing, though. I just read a little bit every day. I don't read a lot. I read a little bit every day, and it like stacks up, right?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So, what did Stephen Pressfield say about things?
He said like, just do it, and if once you, well, I'm paraphrasing here. Just do the thing you want to do, and then when you need to do research, then do the research, right? Don't spend your time being like talking about it, like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to look at this, and it's like, no. Like you're not. He talks about resistance, right? And he talks about fighting resistance, and he says you're fighting resistance. You're not fighting the lack of knowledge. So to get knowledge, you got to do something first, right? You got to have the wall, the mental wall, or the physical wall come up first to actually address the problem. So to get to that wall, you got to do the damn thing first, right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes you don't even know what to ask. Like,
yeah, or what to look up, or what to really go for,
And let me just click. I just had to click a button there. I'm not sure if YouTube was capturing my screen or the window. Hopefully, it was the window because my window wasn't maximized. So, anyway, yeah, sounds like a great piece of insight there.
It's true. It makes a lot of sense because like everything that I ever made that came out interesting, or I guess you could say successful, like a piece of artwork, right, has always came down to just doing it, and then when the problem comes up, then you address it. It's never really. Well, hang on, I might be contradicting myself on just a minute here. I was just talking about taking notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's important too, right? Because you gotta have a scope, and you gotta have, like I was talking about, these like these walls of the maze, right, where you can kind of follow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like I said, it's like this weird balancing act. Like you gotta just go for it, but then you gotta also. It's like chaos and control. One cannot exist without the other. If you're all in chaos, if the chaos is the deepest as it can be, then the light part has to is just as far, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's the same thing on the light part. If the light is so far, the chaos is just as far. So you kind of have to like bring those two together. And if they're together, you can kind of jump back and forth and manage, right?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I see it as like inspiration and like work. I feel like I don't know if I always do my best work when I'm really inspired, but I know it's like that's when I'm the most engaged, and that's where I want to be while I'm working. I want to be inspired while I'm working. And sometimes like if you get a good idea, and like everybody does this, right? Like they're like, oh, I got this idea and I'm going to start it. And you start something new and you're really passionate about it, and maybe you finish it, maybe you don't. But like everybody wants to work inspired, and I think that's why so many people have like all these like failed or not failed, but like just abandoned maybe projects, because you start something and then leave it. But because you want to be inspired, and sometimes you like maybe plan everything out, and your inspiration kind of goes away because you spent all, like, you've already gone through all that energy, you spent some time thinking about it, and you're like, oh, it's kind of feels done in a way. You've seen the beginning and in the end, at least you've kind of imagined it. And but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe if your inspiration disappears at that point, at the planning stage, then maybe it wasn't a good thing to pursue. If you're like, that's all it took for you to, if that's all the inspiration you had in you for that. So
no, I agree with you. It's like a compass pointing to true north, right? Then it's like, well, why are you really making this, right? And it's kind of I've said this to you many times, and it's like I used to draw a lot. I used to have other Instagram page, and that was just, I would just draw, things like this, right?
Yeah.
And other crazy, kind of tattoo culture, metal kind of inspired stuff, right? And I was making that because I wanted strangers to love me, essentially, right? I wanted people just to like accept me. And but once I got to that conclusion, I stopped making like illustrations like that, because like it didn't, like the goal was so petty, it wasn't worthwhile anymore, right?
How did you come to that? Did you like do a few one day and realize that they just generated?
I was smoking a joint in the shower.
Okay.
I was smoking a joint in the shower, and I just smoking in the shower. And I just asked myself the question, why do I do art? Why do I make things, right? Like, what is it? Like, what's the real purpose of it? And
why does it work? It's not really to get clean. It's more to sit here and contemplate things.
No, it's just such a hassle to go outside and then come back inside, and I'm just like, wow, I could just do it in the shower.
Yeah, and then you get the whole hot boxing of the room.
Sort of, yeah. What is it gonna say?
So that's when you decided to stop doing those sticker things?
Yeah, like stickers and just illustration work,
Yeah.
And because like I look back when I was younger, and every time I look back when I was making art, I was always making art to show people, a lot of times strangers or just people that I liked, to be like, hey, look at this stuff I made. Please love me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like I said, I said to myself, what a pathetic existence to keep drawing to be accepted in my own little world I created, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't going to get me anywhere, right? And it's funny. One time when we were at your birthday, right?
Like this year?
Yeah, this year, like a little while ago, right? I remember Sam was talking with, damn it, what's your name again? Sam's friend. What's Sam's friend again?
Oh, Tina.
Tina, yeah, Tina. And Sam was like, oh, Antoine made this thing and it got tattooed or whatever. And then Tina said, oh, you're a tattoo artist? And I said no. And then I said no, I'm not a tattoo artist. My artwork is on people's body, right? Because I've just put it on the internet, and other tattoo artists, they just sorry, people see it and they're like, I want to get that as a tattoo, and then they go to a tattoo artist and then they get it done. And I remember going home and I was feeling really like bummed out because I was like, oh, Tina would think I was cool and awesome if I was a tattoo artist, right? And then I started getting the thought in my head, maybe I should become a tattoo artist, which I've had that thought many times for many years. And I was like, no, you don't. You don't want to be a tattoo artist, Antoine. You're just in love with the idea of people liking you because you're a tattoo artist. You don't want to be a tattoo artist. You just want the accolades and the appraisal of strangers because tattooing's cool, right?
Yeah, you want all the like shit that goes along with being a tattoo artist.
Yeah, exactly, like motorbikes and cool hot rods and tattoo guns and black t-shirts.
Yeah, man. If you were into tattoo art, I think you probably would have. You've
done it a long time ago.
Tattooed somebody by now.
Exactly. But I'm doing this. I'm doing the stuff that's not cool. I'm making stuff for tabletop games. But you know what? It makes me goddamn happy. Like it's closer to my other goals that I had when I was a child. And so
yeah, they say like as an adult, like as an artist, as an adult, you're like serving your 12-year-old self or something like that.
Yeah, in a weird way, yeah. So there's a saying, don't do what's expedient, do what is meaningful, right? And so what I find meaningful is making stuff for play, like games, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's still interactive. It's why we got into like video game art and did that for so long.
Yeah. But what I want to do is I want to try to I like doing the art part. The art part's really good and it's fun, and I have a little bit of idea what I'm doing, you know. But what interests me more is I guess you could say game design. And it might not be in video games, but there's so many other outlets. You know, maybe one day I'll do a card game, or I'll do a board game, or who knows, maybe a mobile game. Who knows?
Yeah.
But doing this, you know, I get to be creative. I get to think about how someone's going to interact with this object, right? So there's a gameplay element there, and it's you know, if I work hard enough, maybe, just maybe, I'll be blessed with doing this, you know, for the rest of my life. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Well, like when I was like a kid and kind of thinking about what I was going to do with myself, I remember my stepdad, he was like, you know, because we're from a small town, right? Everybody's kind of got like a hard job, you know. Like, you know, either you're working at the mine or you're doing construction and you're doing the oil field or something like that. And so you really have to break out of that kind of whole, I don't know,
mold.
You get caught up in that. Like that's your only. It feels like it's your whole life and your only option, right? And he would say like, somewhere what are you passionate about? Whatever it is, somebody somewhere is making a living supporting that, you know.
Yeah.
Whether that's, you know, a lot of people, you know, like they're into, like they were into cars and stuff, and you can become a mechanic, or you can, like, you know, work on your design skills and go beyond that and become almost like, you know, designing body work or whatever it might be. And like, I don't know, video games are pretty easy to get into and stuff, because it's so easy to be like engaged with them and be obsessed about them like that. So it doesn't really feel like work. But yeah, like if whenever I run into somebody who's like having trouble, they're not sure what they want to do, if it's worth it, you know, just what are you passionate about? Like if you're really passionate about it, so like whoever not everybody who's doing that most likely is like just volunteering. You know, there's a way to position yourself, up your game in a way that like you can make a living supporting it or doing it, or and maybe even a good living too. You know,
Yeah.
that's probably it's probably a maybe not a difficult path, but at least it's like not a path that like is so in your face and apparent. But once you figure it out, and it's with YouTube and everything the internet offers, right? It's
Mhm.
getting easier and easier to figure out what that path is and like get into that community. Like you and I, since we've picked up our printers, I feel like we've just been. I feel like, man, like I think you're a little bit more engaged in the community, like embedded in the sort of 3D printing art community. But
Yeah.
I already feel like from this time a year ago, like I felt like totally outside of it and just observing it, and I already feel a bit more like in it. And I haven't met anybody in person, who's
Yeah.
doing this. It's just you and I, just like both doing this and watching like Danny's videos, and I don't know, taking our own stab at like trying to make models and make them better, and calling
3D
up,
printing and stuff. Yeah.
getting 3D printers and like figuring out what works and what sucks or what's difficult. So yeah, it's been fun to explore something new and like learn again and be a student of the game again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the trick is never to be satisfied, right? Once you're satisfied, you're walking down the mountain, right? And there's plenty of more of the mountain to climb.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you want to be climbing the mountain, even if it seems like you don't. You definitely do. I feel like we are. I feel like it's a big mountain, and it's a scary mountain. Like, you don't want to like. We don't like you right now. You're climbing without the rope.
In a weird way. Well, yeah, in a weird way. Yeah, I guess I am. Yeah.
Or at least you're the guys that have those picks, and then they have to like hang their own damn rope.
Yeah.
Like, maybe
Yeah.
you put the rope there, but it's like it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like you're at the gym with the rock wall and there's a rope there and there's somebody
And there's mats under you.
Yeah, there's mats and nice colorful knobs for you that are evenly spaced for you to climb up. No, you're on the side of a rock. You got your rope pick. You got your belt thing, and nobody told you to climb this mountain. You decided to climb this mountain yourself.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
So, and I'm like kind of at the bottom screaming like, you got it. You'll be fine. At the same time, if you fall, I probably can't really catch you,
Sorry, what was that again?
I said if you fall, I probably can't catch you at this point. I don't know.
No, most definitely not. And I wouldn't want you to catch me either, because like it's for me to learn and grow, right? And hey, man, I'm still scared, but that's good though, because that means I'm in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing stuff that you're not, it doesn't. There's no. If you're not doing something that there's some like worriness, some like where it's like, okay, you got to actually pay attention and watch your step, then you're not gonna grow. It's like going to the gym and you're just moving 10-pound weights around. You're not gonna get anything done. You know what I mean? You're not gonna grow any muscle. But when you decide to like, okay, I'm gonna go to a heavier weight, a significant amount that's much heavier. Well, now you got to pay attention. There's form. There's I guess you could say, more discipline involved, and it's still scary. You know what I mean? Like when those, when you're doing that stuff, because you got to pay attention, because you can hurt yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
yeah, if you lift a load that's too heavy and it wasn't never really realistic, then yeah, you hurt yourself. But if you do lift it and then you make all these gains, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'm done with this analogy. But.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks for trying to adding on.
I said the word gains. I was like, I'm fucking done with this. I'm like, what am I doing?
What am I babbling about?
Yeah.
All right. What? It's been almost an hour here. What are we at?
We're at. I don't know if it has a. I'm kind of just going on the clock on my PC here.
I think we started at like 7:10 or something, right? Or
Yeah.
something like that. So, yeah.
10 views.
I guess we'll slow down here and start, plugging our
Closing
social
thought.
medias.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
what is your main social media?
my main social media,
If you want to point
main.
somewhere, where would you point them to? Where do you want them to go?
I want them go. Well, right now, I want them to go to Instagram. You can check out my page, maybe leave a follow, or maybe even a couple likes here and there. Maybe ask me a question. That's great too. I'll answer it. Ooh, voice getting squeaky. You can follow me at Forbidden Prince. That's Forbidden_Prince. That's PRINTS. Forbidden Prince. And then in Forbidden Prince, there's my Thingiverse. And Thingiverse is just a place where you can get free 3D models for 3D printing. And I'll get a Facebook sooner than later. Alex, where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm always pointing people to my Facebook page. I don't know why that is. I just feel like Facebook has deeper engagement than like Instagram. The people that are the people that are like liking and following my Facebook page, I find, maybe 1 in 10 of them will actually comment on what I post. Whereas my Instagram followers, I mean, I'll get likes on things, but I don't feel like engagement is a bit more distant. So
Yeah.
I do like to. Facebook is where if I'm going to post something first, it's going to be there. It's going to show up there first, and then that's the tip of the spear. And then from there, I'll post on Instagram. If I feel something makes it to Thingiverse, like I feel my model's ready, I'll put it up there. I really want them to be really tight though, so I only have 2 models on Thingiverse right now.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of slowly growing that. And then, those are the 2 big ones right now. But I really want to open up and work on my Twitter. I think
I got to do that too.
That's my next hurdle because like right now, the only thing that feeds onto Twitter is like stuff that goes direct from Instagram, like an Instagram post, and I just say, hey, also post on Twitter. Sure. And you go there and it just looks like some text and hashtags, and it's like not fun at all. It's really just your images never show up. So I want to like really kind of add some imagery there and like work on my banner and the whole presence.
Everything. One step at a time, brother.
So yeah, our links should be in the description. I copied all that in, so like, yeah, you can follow those.
Hopefully not my old Facebook because it won't be there because I got.
Oh yeah. That is definitely there. So
doesn't do anything, folks, if you visit it.
I don't have our Thingiverse links in there though. What's your Thingiverse name? Is it Forbidden Prince as well?
Yeah, Forbidden.
Yeah. Mine's Alex Cola, so I'm a bit all over the place, I guess.
You can change that. But
okay.
Anyways, this was the first episode.
That's it.
And we're gonna have to figure out how to like upload this thing. Well, I guess you do because you're the guy that has it managed or whatever.
Yeah, I'll get it figured out.
I'm sure you will.
And we're going to be back like next Tuesday, hopefully. That's the plan. Tuesday?
Yeah, we're gonna try to do it every Tuesday instead. So I'm gonna have to read something so I have something to talk about or something. But yeah, next Tuesday will be our next episode. We'll probably talk about just being an artist and trying to figure this thing out. If anybody did watch this, thank you for watching this. And follow us. That's great too. And maybe we'll have a Facebook page for this or a Twitter, maybe. I have no idea. But anyways, Alex, see you around, bud.
You bet, man. Yeah, thanks. Cheers and ciao.
Ciao.